Campbell Crochet Company. Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Campbell Crochet Company. So this is what we are going to be making, is a fingerless glove with a flap over it. I did add a button, so I'll show you guys how I did that as well, and then just a little loop for it to be hooked onto. Also, if it's loud, I do apologize. Right now we are in a winter storm, so I'll show you guys just what it is doing outside. So this is our current view, and it is quite a lot of snow. So I apologize for the background noise, but it'll have to be okay. We're gonna get into this, what your materials are. Size 4 loops and threads, pale gray yarn. Then you'll also want a pair of scissors and your favorite tapestry needle, as well as I'm using a size 6mm hook. The pattern calls for a size 4. So without further ado, let's get started. Something I do want to point out though is for the instructions on which size you do, this pattern is for women's small, which is 7 inches around this mitten. So it's around your hand here. We're going to start by chaining 16. All right, so these are our 16 chains. Now we are going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook and then go all the way back. We're going to start in this chain here, and we're just going to slip stitch our way all the way back. So if you want to pause the video and come back, you can. All right, so we went all the way across and came back to the other side. So now we are going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work, and we're going to work in the back loop only of these slip stitches. So we're going to be working in this top loop here. So all these back loops here is where we're going to be doing our slip stitches into. So we've made our way back through our 15 slip stitches going back across. So this was row 2 of our cuff for our glove. So now we're going to keep going until we have 47 rows of these slip stitches. So if you want to pause the video here, we will keep going until we get 45 more. So we have 47 total. Okay, so we have just finished our 47th row of slip stitches, and now what we have to do is connect both sides of our cuff together with a slip stitch, which will create our 48th row of slip stitches. So make sure that you chain 1 at the end of your 47th row. So just keep going across. So take your top loop and then both loops of your foundation chain and slip stitch all those together, and then we'll come back. So we just finished our 15 slip stitches going across to make our 48th row to create our ribbed cuff. So now what we're going to do, we're going to chain 1. So we're going to single crochet and chain 1 into every 2 rows of slip stitch. Single crochet, chain 1. Now we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to work behind this raised row of slip stitching. So you're going to put your hook behind that row, and then you're just going to single crochet into it and chain 1. And now we're going to skip 2 rows, 1, 2, and then just single crochet into this top loop. So you're going to keep doing this all the way around, single crochet and chain 1. Now we're going to skip 2, 1, 2. I'm going to put my hook behind this top stitch, single crochet and chain 1. So just do that all the way around and then we'll meet back here together. So I just finished my 16th single crochet and now I'm going to slip stitch into this top chain. All right, so now we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work. So now we're going to single crochet into all of these chain 1 spaces. Not this one down here because that is a single crochet into that top loop. So you want these bigger spaces for you to be doing your work into. So this will begin to create our moss stitch look. So we're going to single crochet and chain 1 and then find the next single crochet and chain 1. So we're just going to keep going all the way around with our single crochets and chaining 1 until we have 16 going back around. So that's 3. Okay, then we're going to slip stitch to join our work. Now we are going to repeat the previous row one more time. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we're going to count until we have 16 going around the opposite direction. So you can pause the video here and do your 16 single crochets into your chain 1 spaces, and then we'll meet back up to do the next step. Okay, so I just finished my 16th single crochet. We are still going to chain 1. And then we are going to slip stitch to join to our beginning of the row on the other side. So I'm just gonna slip stitch into these 2 chains here. I like to do 2 rather than 1, just so the work is a little bit more sturdy when you connect your rows together. Okay, there we go. And then when you pull it tight, now you'll see that they're a little bit more of the same height. So now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn, and now we're going to go back the opposite direction 13 times. So we're going to do the same type of stitch 13 times. We're going to go directly into this first chain 1 space. So we're going to go 1, 2, 13. All right, so now we just did our 13 single crochet and chain 1. So we are going to single crochet into this next single crochet. So we're just going to go right in the middle of it, and we're going to single crochet. And then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet, chain 1 in your next 3 spaces. So we are going to go directly into this chain 1 space next to the single crochet we just worked into. So this will be 1, 2, and 3, and chain 1. And now we're going to join to the other side. So I just find any 2 stitches to bust through. All right, and now I'm going to join my slip stitch into these 2 chains. So I'm just gonna keep that nice and tight, and then we're going to slip stitch. All right, and now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we're just going to do our single crochet into chain 1 spaces all the way around. Make sure you count 17. So we'll start with this space here that we ended with. So this is 1, and you are going to single crochet in between these two that look very close together, which they are, but there's still a chain 1 space in there. So we're just going to make sure that we single crochet in between there to get our 17. So that's 4. And this last one is going to be 17. Chain 1 and connect your work. So I'll just connect through this bottom chain here. Slip stitch. So yeah, that's just a little bit more seamless when you look at it, looking at your seam here. And when you turn your work inside out, it'll just look a little bit nicer. So now we are going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to go back and do our single crochet chain 1 13 times again. So we'll start with this directly, first one here, 1. So count up to 13. Okay, so now we've done our 13 single crochets. We're going to single crochet into the next single crochet. And this is the way that we add extra stitches. And then you're going to single crochet and chain 1 4 times left. So this will be 1, working directly into that next space. This is 2. 3. And oops. 4. That's not right. So we're just going to slip stitch this together. All right. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and you are going to single crochet chain 1 into all of your spaces. So it should be 18 single crochets. So you're going to go back around, starting in this first one. This will be 1. So go around till you hit 18 and then come back. All right, so we just finished our 18th stitch, and then we're just going to join and slip stitch with our join. Because if you do a single crochet to join, then you're going to have 1 extra single crochet per row, and then that could really throw you off. So that is our 18, and then we are going to chain 1 and turn, and then do the exact same thing again. So we're just going to go to 18 back around the other way. So come on back once you have all of that done. Okay, so I just finished my 18th single crochet. I joined my work, and now we are going to chain 1 and turn. And now we are going to single crochet in our chain 1 spaces 5 times. So we'll start here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to single crochet in our single crochet directly next to it. We're going to chain 1, and then we are going to do the remainder normal with our single crochet chain 1 in our chain 1 space, starting directly with this next space next to it. So we'll bring that around 13 times. So going directly into the next spot, this single crochet and chain 1 will be 1 of 13. So come on back when you have 13 more, and you should have your total of 19 around. Okay, so I just finished my 13th stitch. And I joined my rows with a slip stitch. So now you're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and now we are going to do your single crochet, chain 1 all the way around until you have 19. Okay, so you're going to chain 1 after you connect your rows, and you're going to turn your work, and now you're going to single crochet, chain 1 all the way around. You should have 19 now that we added that extra stitch. So go ahead and pause the video and come back once you have 19 stitches. All right, so I just did my 19th single crochet, joined my row. You're going to chain 1 and turn, and then you're just going to do 19 2 more times, chaining 1 and connecting your previous row and turning. So we'll just do that. We're gonna do that 2 more times. So I'll just fast forward this part so you guys can follow along, but it's just 2 consecutive rows of 19 repeating what we just did. All right, so I just finished my 2 19 rows and I chained 1, and now we're going to turn our work. So now we are going to single crochet in our chain 1 space 5 times. Oops, I did not turn yet. Now I'm turning. Okay, there's my turn. So we're going to single crochet in our chain 1 space 5 times with our extra chain 1. And you guessed it, we are going to single crochet in this next single crochet. And then we're going to chain 1. We're going to continue our work all the way around 14 more times. So we're going to start directly in this next chain 1 space as our first single crochet chain 1 of 14. So go ahead and keep doing that all the way around. All right, so I just joined my 20th stitch to the previous row. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we're going to do 20 of our single crochets all the way around, connect your work, chain 1, and then go back around the opposite way. So we're gonna do this 2 times. All right, so I just finished my 2 rows of 20. I joined and I chained 1, and I have now turned my work. So we are going to now separate our mitten for the thumb. So we are going to start by single crocheting in our chain 1 spaces 13 times. 13. And then we are going to chain 1. And then we are going to chain 2 more. So that'll be a total of 3 chains. So that's our first chain, second chain, third chain. Okay, and now we're going to skip the next 5 chain spaces. Skip this 1 chain space, 2 chain spaces, 3 chain spaces, 4 chain spaces, and 5. So we're going to skip all 5 of those. And then what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the following chain 1 space. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we're skipping. So starting in this 6th chain 1 space, we're going to single crochet. You're gonna make sure your work is pulled a little bit tighter. Single crochet and chain 1, and then we're going to do that 2 more times. Single crochet, chain 1 once, and single crochet and chain 1 twice. Okay, and then we are going to join our work, and then you should have 15 total stitches in this round. We just finished our row where we separate our work for the thumb right here. So now you get to the end of this row, going this direction, and then make sure that you joined your work together from the previous row. We're going to single crochet in the chain 1 space 2 times. So we're going to start over here. So we get our 1, 2, and then we'll be close to the thumb for our next step. So we're going to start here, 1, 2. And now we are going to single crochet in chain 1 of the first chain over here. So we are backwards right now. Just keep that in mind. So if you want to turn your work so you can see your chain, just like so, this is chain 1 here, chain 2, and chain 3. So we're going to single crochet in chain 1, in this first chain space, like that. And then we're going to do the same thing in the other 2 chains. So we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to single crochet in this second chain and chain 1. And then we are going to single crochet in this third chain and chain 1. Alright, so we just did those 3. And now we are going to keep working around until we get to the other side. So we should have a total of 16 single crochets. So we're going to skip, obviously there's no space here for us to go into, so we're just going to go directly into this one. Keep doing your moss stitch all the way around. Alright, so that was 16 for me. And now I'm going to join my work with a slip stitch. All right, now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. So now we're going to work our moss stitch in all 16 single crochets going back around the other direction. So just make sure that you count out loud to ensure that you have 16. So we've just joined our work of 16 single crochets. So now we are going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to repeat this row 6 times, or however long you want it to be for the desired length of your fingers to be covered. So just keep this going until you have this as tall as you want it, and then we'll come back and we will work up the thumb. So we are going to connect our thumb together. So we have our glove here. This is our top seam here. So we're going to take our yarn, we're going to thread the tail end through the thumb and bring it out the other side, like so. Okay? Okay. So now, because our yarn is behind our work, it's going to be a lot easier to join together. So we're going to start in this last stitch here before our top seam of our thumb. So just put your hook through here. It should be a chain 1 space, so it should be open. Even though this directly next to it is a single crochet, that is okay. So you're just going to pull your yarn through, and then you're just going to do a chain 1 so you can attach your work. Okay? Okay. We are going to single crochet 2 chain 1 spaces together. So we have our 1, 2, 3 chain 1s from our thumb. So we're going to go through 2 of them. I guess we could go this way, like so. We're gonna pull our yarn through. Now we have 2, and then we're going to single crochet. Make sure you have your 2 loops on the thumb, on your hook. And then we are going to chain 1. And then we are going to single crochet, chain 1 in your chain 1 space 3 times. So we should have connected it, so now it should bring us all the way around. So now we are going to single crochet. So you're gonna have to go from underneath though, so it's gonna be a little backwards, but it'll be normal when you flip your glove inside out. So single crochet, chain one once, and then you're just gonna have to like turn your work as you work around. And make sure not to go too far over because your seam is here. This is your corner of your thumb. We are gonna go into that corner, are we? And then we're going to go down to this chain one space on the bottom part of our thumb. Kind of hard to see, I'm sorry. So then you're gonna go through here, single crochet, chain one, that's 2, and then single crochet, oops, keep losing it. Chain one, that's 3. So now we're going to single crochet 3 spaces together. Don't know what that means. We're just gonna do it. Sorry, can't see my work. 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna single crochet those 3 spaces together like so. And then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to join our work with our original. So I'm gonna go from this inside here, be able to pull my yarn through, and our slip stitch. Hooray! So this is your thumb now, and it's round. You should have a total of 6 single crochets for the thumb. As a reminder, this is for the size small, so if you have a different size, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep working in rounds because I think it'll just be easier for me. So just keep going in the direction that you want to finish your thumb with your 6 single crochets, and then I'll show you how to tie it off if you are doing the enclosed thumb. If you're not doing your enclosed thumb and you just want your thumb open, you just do 6 more rounds of that same thing we just did. Just do into your single crochet into your chain 1 spaces until the desired height for your thumb. So we'll be back. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so I just kept going around and around, and as I got closer to the top to make the point of the thumb become a little bit closer together, I just joined 2 single crochets together, similar to how we started with the thumb at the bottom. So you just go into both sides of that single crochet, and then both sides of that chain 1 space, bring it together with the single crochet, and then you kind of do your decrease to shorten the thumb. So what we're gonna do is, once you get the desired length of your thumb, you're just going to cut your yarn wherever you'd like and then just pull it all the way through. We're not going to tie it off quite yet, because what we want to do is get your tapestry needle, and we are going to do a weaving in of the ends in a certain way where when we pull it tight, it'll close off the top of our thumb. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go in and out of every stitch that's at the top with your yarn, and then we're going to pull it tight at the end. So you do definitely want to make sure that you go in and out of every single one, and that back and forth is crucial. You don't want to skip one, because then you could have a stray chain that kind of looks like it's sticking out or that it was missed. So just go in and out of all the ones until you get back around to where you started. Just make sure that you don't pull this last part all the way through like I just did. You want to leave some of it open, because then it'll be easier to tie off here. So take the rest of the yarn that's actually attached to your thumb. You're going to pull that tight. And now you've just cinched off the top of your thumb. So it's kind of in the way, but what we're going to do is we're just going to take our yarn, and we're just going to pull through like so, and then we're just going to go back through. So you're kind of make it look like a pretzel, like that. And that'll help you get a nice knot at the bottom of your yarn. and tight. And then you can weave in your ends. If you still have a little hole at the top, then just go back and forth with your ends. You can just go into your top loop and just go straight across to kind of close that up. And then you can weave in your ends from there if you want to, or you can leave them loose. You can just cut it off, doesn't really matter, because since you have that knot, it won't completely come undone. So once you're done weaving in your ends, then we will come back and start working on the flap for the back of the glove. Next, we're going to start making the flap of the glove. So this is our last step. So we're going to start with the flap of this mitten. If I could get my yarn. All right. So the first step that we're going to start with is chaining 32. All right, so here is my 32 chains. Okay, so now we are going to join to our chain 1, join it with a slip stitch. Like so. All right, so after we connect our chain together, this connection does not count as a chain. So what we're going to do is we're going to work directly into the chain that we connected to start with our first single crochet. So we're just going to go into it, bring up a loop, single crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to skip 1, and then we're going to go directly into the next one after that. So you're going to skip a chain and then work your single crochet, chain 1 into the one after that. You're going to bring this all the way around until you've gotten back to the beginning, and you should have 16 single crochet, chain 1s. So come back when you have finished your first round of single crochet, chain 1s. Okay, so once you've done your 16, we're going to join our work, and then we're just going to repeat this 12 times. So I have my 16th single crochet. I'm going to join it here underneath this first chain, so right here, and I'm going to join it with a slip stitch. All right, and now you're just going to keep going around 12 more times. So you're just going to join your row every single time. All right, we're just going to do our regular single crochet, chain 1 going around. So you want to make sure you have 16 single crochets at all times. And then when you are done with that, we will come back together to finish off this flap for our fingerless glove. Single crochet our 12th row together, and then we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet 2 chain spaces together. So we're going to go behind this one, so we're going to go through one and then out the other, bring a loop up, single crochet, and chain 1. So that's how you're single crocheting 2 chain spaces together. And then we are going to single crochet into the next loop, so that'll be this one over here that we did not touch. Single crochet into that and chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet 2 chain 1 spaces together again. So we're going to go into our next chain 1 space, we're going to go through from behind and then bring it through the front, bring a loop up and single crochet, chain 1, And now we're going to continue single crocheting chain one in the remainder of the spaces. So we're going to start with our next chain one space. We're not going to go back into this one we just worked through, because then you're going to add more spaces. So we're just going to keep going through the rest of our spaces with our single crochet chain one. So just bring that all the rest of the way around. So you should have a total of 12 single crochets by the time that you're done with this round. And then when you're done, just count and join your work, and then we'll go on to the next row. I'm going to join my work right up in here with a slip stitch. Okay, I'm just going to chain one just so I know that I can start fresh for the next row. So we chained one and we joined our work, and now we're going to turn, and we are going to single crochet and chain one in our chain one space and go all the way around for making it a total of 12. So we're just doing a normal round of our work. We're not doing any fancy joining. So just go around, make sure you have 12. So that's 2. All right, so we just finished our last row. So next what we're going to do is single crochet 2 chain one spaces together. We're gonna do that to 4 of them and chain 1. So just go 4, I'm sorry for my wrists cracking. Make sure you're counting so you end up with 8 single crochets at the end. So this was 2. We're doing 4 of these spaces. 3 and 4, and then just single crochet chain 1 in the rest. And then make sure you join your work. Next, we are going to chain 1 and turn. Okay. And now we are going to single crochet in our chain 1 space, chain 1 around, so we should have 8 again. So we're just doing normal. So we're just going to go back around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Chain 1 and join your work. Okay, here we go. And get that slip stitch in there, baby. Okay. I don't know how this girl wrote this stuff. I feel like I'm totally bashing on her pattern, but honestly, even talking out loud and trying to show you guys how to do this, I'm still getting confused. So I'm glad that I'm doing this. So if anybody else got confused, hopefully this will ease your confusion. Or we can just be confused together and be making a total opposite thing of what she intended. So we're going to single crochet our chain 1 spaces together 4 times around, because we have 8 single crochets and we want to end up with 4. So she just wrote single crochet 2 chain spaces together, but if we did that, then we'd still have 6 single crochets. So her math ain't mathin'. And I'm not a math girly, but she's really not a math girly. So we're just gonna chain 1. She didn't say to turn your work, so we're still going the same direction. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so we're going to single crochet to this space, single crochet and chain 1 all of your spaces around. It's gonna get pretty tight in here. It's in here, 2, in here, and behind here. This will be 3. And our last one should be here, in here, and through here. Kind of backwards way of doing it, but there we are. And single crochet and chain 1, and then we're going to join our work with a slip stitch, because that would have been our next spot. spot. Boop. All right, on to the next. Oh, I know what it does. It's for your button, but I did my button differently. But she also doesn't write that that's for your button. So what if you don't want a button? I guess I'll just go around and just slip stitch the rest of this together. So if you put your finger up through your mitten, it might be easier for you to find where you're actually supposed to slip stitch, because you could be slip stitching on a previous row instead of the one that's actually up here. Okay. So I'm going to take my scissors all right, we're not going to fasten off our work yet. We need this to stay open like so. Grab your favorite tapestry needle. You're going to weave in and out of these slip stitches that you did. You're just going to go back and forth. So you're literally going to go in and out with your yarn on just the top loop of your slip stitch. In and out. And then back in again. And we'll go out here. And then you're going to just pull nice and tight. And see, now the top of your mitten is closed. So now you have this whole tail. What to do? You just weave it in. If you want to close up some of these holes that you've now created, be my guest. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I don't think it looks as good as the other one, but we'll see how it looks inside out when it's technically right side out, in my opinion. Okay, so just continue weaving in your ends, and then you can also tie a knot when you weave in your ends on this side. Like here, I'll just do it right here, because this is going to be on the inside, so nobody's going to see it. Oh, uh-oh. I didn't want to do that. Oh no. All right, so I just turned my flap of my glove inside out. I think weaving in the ends and covering up those holes was pretty smart. So just weave in this tail end. I just like to do it around the border of this foundation chain. All right, so I have woven in my end and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So what I do to test out to make sure that this is going to be placed in the right spot is you're just going to put the flap on top of your hand wearing the mitten, and then wherever it comes down in the back, here is where you're going to seam it together just on one side. You can't seam both sides because then this won't open. So you want to make sure that if this is where you want your mitten to come down, just keep track of what row that this is in. So I see that this is right in this row here. So I'm just going to insert my tapestry needle kind of as a marker that that's where I want to attach the flap of the mitten. So it's this whole row here. Don't sew both sides. You just want to leave one side open, because if you sew both sides down, guess who's not going to get their fingers covered? Whoever's mittens these are. So only crochet and sew one side. So try to open the other side so you don't get that by accident. And then just go to town. So we'll come back once we have that done. So I've just sewn on the second flap to my mitten, and that's all it is. It's not very complicated. So that's what we're looking like here. So now I'm just gonna tie these like a shoe, my 2 extra tails, just so they don't come apart. It really does not matter how you do this last part. That's just what I feel would hold up the best. Like so. All right, so if you wanted to stop there, then you are done. I know I said that she has small hands, but it's okay if I try it on just to make sure that I like how it feels, and then you can put the flap over, and there you go. There's your fingerless mittens. So I am gonna add a button, which I will do right now on camera so you guys can see that. If you are not sewers, that is okay. But this is my button. I did sew it with a needle and thread, and I just attached just a tiny piece of yarn to the top of the flap here so that it can hook onto the button. So taking our mitten, we want to align the bottom of the flap with where the button is going to go. So it's probably going to be at the top of your cuff. I'm just going to put the button right here. So it's probably going to be easier to go down through, and you're going to want to line it up to where you want it to go in there. But see, now I came out the other side. You don't want to come out the other side of your mitten. You want to stay inside. Alrighty. So just pull your string through. Again, it's better to have too much than not enough. And then make sure that your button is straightened out. You don't want it being vertical when you go back in. So now we have to come out the other side of our button. So we're gonna go back into our mitten here. You can turn this a little bit so you can see your needle coming out the other side. There we are. So we'll see if that is good distance. I think so. I think that'll work. So then just pull your string, and now you're just gonna keep going down and back through until you feel as though your button is secure. So we'll come back when we are all done with that. The last piece of this puzzle is to tie yarn. If you have any scrap yarn, I got this little piece of scrap yarn. We're gonna tie it through the top of our mitten here so it can loop onto our button. Make sure that you bring the flap down and put the string around the button so you can get the right size measured. You also don't want it to be too tight where it can't fit around it. You don't want it to be too loose to the point where it won't even stay on the button. So a nice happy medium in there. Ta-da! There are your moss stitch fingerless mittens with an enclosed thumb. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next one.